Awesome. Hello everyone. How's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah, good. Excited to get this stream started. For everyone in chat, my name is Isaac. I'm the event officer for the Canberra and online campuses, and I'm joined today by two amazing people. I've got Alyssa and Heidi here with me. Do you want to do a quick introduction before I hand it over?
Yeah, can do. First of all, thanks for joining us, Heidi. Much appreciated. I was saying to Isaac before when we jumped on that you are like the angel of the Adelaide campus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always helping out marketing whenever we need. But no, I thought it was an awesome idea to get you on for multiple reasons. The first being that you're our Cert III IT, or one of our Cert III IT teachers, and that course is going to be super popular next year. Second being that you're in your second year of programming. And third being that you're a female doing programming, and there's not a lot of females doing programming. So I think it's a really important thing to get females interested in programming as well. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, as you said, I help out with a lot of the marketing stuff here at AIE, but it's always really fun to help out with that. And I've had a really great time sort of being a student at AIE, so it's always great to be able to talk to other people and get them interested in AIE and get them hearing about our courses, because I think a lot of other people could have the same great experiences that I've had here. So it's great to be a part of that.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. I will run away and do all the back-end magic stuff, so I'll throw it over to you two. Best of luck.
Awesome, thank you. If anyone does have any questions while we are live, feel free to pop them in the chat as well on Facebook or YouTube, and Isaac will jump on and ask us any questions. But I guess after that intro, I've probably done your job for you, Heidi. But please tell us a bit
Yeah.
about yourself.
Well, so I'm a game developer and more specifically a game programmer, and I've actually been studying with AIE for nearly 4 years now because I started back in 2019 with the certificate 2 in game programming. So that's sort of when I got started with AIE, and I was in year 11 at high school at the time, and then in the year afterwards, I went on to do the Cert 3 in game programming in 2020. So I did that while I was in year 12. And then after that, in 2021 and 2022, I have been completing my Advanced Diploma in game programming. So that is the one that I will be finishing up this year. So yeah, I've been with AIE for quite a while now, and as I said, it's been really, really great getting to study here and take part in all of the stuff we do, and I've had a really great time.
Yeah, and crazy schedule right now as well for our year twos because they are in their major production. And not only are you working on one project, I believe
Yeah.
you've got another. You're doing
Yeah,
two.
so
So,
yeah, both at AIE, actually, I'm working in two groups for group production. I'm helping another group out with the programming of that, as well as my main group. So, for those who might not know, the group production stuff is the last assignment at the end of the second year course, where we work on a game in a group for about 6 months for the second half of the year, and we just try to make something really, really cool. So that's what we're working on at the moment. And outside of AIE, I work on my own sort of personal project, my own sort of like it's a little farming simulator type game that I make in my spare time. So yeah, lots
yeah,
to do, but
lots
it's good to
going
be
on.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, good on you. I guess, can you
Thanks.
tell us how that you originally heard about AI?
Yeah, so it's a bit funny actually. In 2019, at the start of the year in year 11 at high school, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go with, after high school, and I was really interested in digital art, especially. And I kind of ended up in my high school's coding class on accident because I put it down as like the my backup subject for when we were selecting subjects, and then one of my other subjects that I put down as one of my first choices didn't have enough students that wanted to do that subject, so I got put in the programming class instead. And I went to my vet coordinator and talked to him about doing an art vet course, and he recommended AIE to me. And AIE didn't have any 6-month art certificate courses, so I decided that I would take a shot at the 6-month programming certificate course, which is the Cert 2 instead. And that was really, really cool, yes, and I really enjoyed that one. So instead of doing the art course next year, I decided to go on with programming instead and keep going with that. So yeah, I talked to my vet coordinator at school, basically is the short version of it, and he recommended AIE through that.
And you kind of fell into programming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess while you were at school, was there any particular subjects, I guess, that you thought helped out with getting you into programming, or any that you think might be beneficial for people wanting to study this course?
Yeah, so I found there were two subjects I really liked in year 11 and 12, and the first one is probably the more obvious one in regards to programming. It was digital technologies. So a lot of high schools have some sort of programming adjacent course, but I found that a lot of them are sometimes like named different things. So some schools have IT, my school had Digitech, so that was the main one that was entirely focused on programming and learning how to code and that sort of stuff. So that was really helpful for getting into programming and getting into that sort of stuff. And the other subject was media, which was a lot more sort of video editing sort of stuff, a lot of like making our own little movies and that sort of thing. But any sort of like technology based or technology focused course like media or digitech, I think can be really, really helpful for when you want to get into game development or when you want to get into programming, because you're always like learning a lot of sort of software and skills that all relates back to the technology side of things. So anything like that can be really helpful and really good.
Really helpful. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, tell us a bit about the course then.
So it is a 1-year course. We have a February and July intake for the Cert 3. It's the Certificate 3 in Game Development Foundations. And as I said, it's a year long and it is focused on the programming side of making games. So we start with sort of learning basic coding in a coding language called C Sharp, and then we go on to make a few of our own little games in C Sharp and Unity. And it's an introductory course, so there is no assumed knowledge beforehand. Some of my students have done very little coding before they have done this course, and we're only a couple of months in, and I can see those students are already like catching on massively, like with the coding side of things. They're already beginning to like understand how to do their own stuff in coding and implement their own stuff into their games. So I think a lot of people get a bit scared, like they don't know if they've never done any programming before, if this is the right sort of course for them. But it's a very introductory, no assumed knowledge sort of course. So yeah, it's really good for
Yeah,
anyone who wants to get into or start learning how to code.
absolutely. Just while we've got it up here, we actually have running on the screen. This was your Cert 3 project, was it?
Yeah. Yeah,
While
so
you were
this
in school?
was in year 12. This was the version of this game that I made in about 3 months. This was for one of the assignments in the Cert 3, which is the intermediate game development assignments. That one, as I said, goes for about 3 months, and basically we just say to the students, make a game idea and then make a game, and we'll, help you out with that sort of stuff. So I wanted to make a little RPG style game with some turn-based combat about some of the characters I had been writing and drawing about. So that is what this sort of game is, and you can see I did all of the sort of pixel art style for this game. As I said, I was interested in digital art before I became interested in programming, so I wanted to sort of try my hand at making my own game where I had made all of the sort of graphics and coding and all of that by myself. So yeah, this was my Cert 3 project, and
Yeah.
this is how it turned out.
Look, I know you're a programmer, but the artwork is genuinely very good.
Thank you.
It looks amazing. And
I've been
crazy
doing
that you're
art
in
a bit
school.
longer than I've been doing programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the pixel art stuff. I find this particular style was pretty quick to create all of this. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier and a lot faster to do pixel art, and that's sort of why I chose to do that. Or I just kind of had to draw all of this in the 3 months I had, so I figured, go with
Yeah.
something that I could
Nah,
produce really
looks so
quickly.
good.
But thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had
love
a lot
it.
of fun with it.
And I guess, can you tell us what software that you actually use in the certificate?
Yeah, so in the certificate specifically, we use a few different pieces of software, but the main ones are Unity, Unity 3D specifically, and Visual Studio Community. So Unity is what is called a game engine. It's a tool basically for creating video games. So in Unity, you put levels together. It has like a level editor. It has like the coding support, that so you can code some stuff in Visual Studio and then put it into Unity, and that will, Unity will take that and build your game with it. You can do a lot of things in Unity, stuff like shaders, design. You can write some stuff in there, put the data for the game in Unity. But yeah, basically it's the tool you use to put your game together and make your game.
Yeah, for sure. And anyone that I guess is maybe wanting to have a dabble before maybe proceeding with a Cert 3, are any of these free to download that they can have a try and maybe do a YouTube tutorial or something?
Yeah. So both Unity and Visual Studio Community are free. Unity has some paid like licenses that you can pay for, and then you'll get some extra features with it. But it also offers free student and personal licenses, and those are versions of Unity that you can use for free. Those are the versions that I use, and I think a lot of like beginning game developers or new game developers will find that the free version has, everything that you need in a game engine.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess for those people that are maybe wanting to study it online, do you recommend a PC or a Mac be used for this? What do you guys use when you're actually in class?
So in class, we use PCs. I think you could use it interchangeably with a Mac. There's no sort of specification one way or another as to whether you need to use a PC or a Mac. I believe that when we make the build of the game, we make a build that will run on PC and Mac. But yeah, we use PCs in class to do the course.
Yeah, cool. And I guess could you tell us a little bit about the major assignments that you do, or the assignments that you do in the certificate?
Yeah, so at the current version of the course, the one that I am teaching, it is a little bit different to when I completed the course, but we have 5 assignments. So we start with the most basic one, which is Introduction to Programming. And this is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, in that we start learning how to code in the C# language. And what that basically means is we learn all of the basics of coding, and we get to talk a lot about concepts behind coding, like computational thinking, some good ways you can go about planning your coding, like pseudocode and flowcharts. We look at a lot of the thinking behind programming, and we do a little bit of coding ourselves in Visual Studio. We make console applications in this first assignment, which is basically coding straight into um, a console, which is just like a little black window that pops up on your screen, and you get some text to pop up. And that's the level of coding that you do in the first assignment. There's no worrying about like making a 3D game with a bunch of graphics and images and 3D models in the game. It's all entirely like text based. So that's a really good, just starting to learn how to code in C#. And then
Yeah.
the next assignment we go on to, give me a moment. So the next assignment we go on to is the one that my class is finishing up at the moment, and that is Game Development Basics. So this is one where we actually get started in Unity. Everyone, opens Unity up, and you get some tutorials to follow through on how to make a really small Unity game. And this is a basic group assignment where after you've followed one of these tutorials, then you get together with a group and you sort of combine your games together, and then you work on adding a couple of your own things to this game. You work on doing like a couple of your own little features that you can add onto it. So for example, there's this game that one of the tutorials makes that's called the Tanks game, and it's basically where you make little tanks that move around the scene, and you shoot at all the enemy tanks and they shoot at you, and you try to be the last one to survive. So some things that people might end up adding on to that game afterwards would be like adding a little map in the corner of the screen where you can see where all the other tanks are, or making a little wave system so you have to defeat all the other tanks and then go on to the next level, or that sort of stuff. So with this assignment, I've seen like a lot of people really taking initiative and really branching out with what they can do in the assignment and adding some really cool stuff to their games. I noticed in the first assignment a lot of people weren't too worried about expanding too much upon it, because it's sort of like they just want to learn the basics of coding and get the concepts behind the code down so that they can really understand and be familiar with them. And it's been really cool to see more people branching out in this second assignment and actually like adding their own stuff and figuring out how to do their own stuff in their games and really make something that they can call their own.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Isaac, welcome
Awesome.
back.
Yes, I've appeared like a ghost out of nowhere.
Hi.
I've got a question actually from, you guessed it, Aiden.
Hey, Aiden.
His question is, while I'm waiting for the start date, what can I do to learn more about programming? Any good resources I can use to start learning and see if programming is for me?
Well, that is a good question because I found a lot of people, especially in regards to game programming, there's not sort of too much support for that in schools, or people don't really know where to start with that. They don't really know that there's like such an active games industry in Adelaide or Australia that they can be a part of. So, really, if you want to get started with game programming, the best thing you can do is just sort of, start looking up YouTube tutorials and start following those tutorials, and getting a hang of how to use different software like Unity or other game engines like Godot or Unreal Engine, so that you can, begin to develop this understanding of how to make games and how to, do different things, and see if it's something that you're interested in and want to continue with. And we actually have an open day, I think, on November 19th coming up. Yeah. So that's a really good opportunity for anyone interested in getting started with game programming or game development in general to come talk to the rest of our staff and hear a little bit about if game development might be right for you.
Yeah, for sure. And even if that isn't for you, Aiden, you could also do one of our beginner or holiday courses, which are nice little short intro to programming or any of the other courses that we teach as well. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, back to you, Heidi.
Yeah, so the last three assignments, the next one we have is ICT Security Fundamentals, and this is a bit more of a basic assignment where we just basically learn some IT security. We go over stuff like privacy policies that you might need to know if you were interested in making your own game or starting your own business. We go through how to secure some of your accounts and good practices for, securing your password, making sure other people can't hack into your account, that sort of stuff. So it's less on the practical side of things, but it's really useful IT knowledge for if you're a technology focused person. And after that, we have the two big assignments. So this will take up the second half of the course. So, and each of them will be about 3 months long. The first one is intermediate game development, and that is the one I was talking about a bit earlier with my own game. So this is a solo project where you just work on your own game for 3 months. It's completely original. You make up your own game concept and you start working on it, and you work on that for 3 months and you try to make something really cool. So obviously I had a lot of fun when we got to that assignment, and I really enjoyed, like putting a lot of effort into that one and trying to make something really, really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing what my class and my students will do with that one, because I know we have some really creative people who will come up with some really cool stuff. And
So sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
That is one of the questions that I get asked quite regularly. Do people actually get to come up with their own idea for the game, or do they have to follow, I guess, certain parameters, or is it just, hey, come up with a game
Yeah,
idea?
so actually, for all of our assignments, there is a list of criteria that you need to hit, and it's generally a pretty sort of not very strict list, basically. It's a few small things that your game will need to cover, and then so long as you add that into your game, you can do whatever you want. So this applies for the first assignment, but less so for that one, because you have to fill out a workbook for that one that will make up the majority of the assignment. But in game development basics, I've had some students do completely original ideas and not go through the tutorials at all, because the
Yeah,
requirement for that assignment is that it has to be a group assignment, and they have to include reading and writing to files in their game somehow. So long as they do that, they can do any game they want. It's just recommended to do a tutorial
yeah,
because it'll give you a little bit of guidance. But for both
yeah.
intermediate game development and the last assignment, game production, students just do completely original ideas. They make up their own ideas themselves, and they do whatever they want to do. They make completely original games.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So good. All right. Well, I guess now we've gone through that. One of the main questions that I get from, I guess, people interested in programming, particularly when I go to schools or if I'm at expos or things like that, is that they might be not so good at the art side of things. And they're like, oh, do I have to do any art? Like making a game, obviously, there's an art aspect to it. So please tell us, will the students have to do any art, or are you just in a little anomaly in the programming world that can create some amazing art
Yeah.
and do programming?
Yeah, so that you don't have to do any art of your own, and you can actually make a really cool looking game just using free assets online. So Unity is a really well-known game engine that has a really big community surrounding it already. So a lot of people have actually made a bunch of free art assets, like free 3D models, free, UI images, sprites, all of that you can find online. And so long as you're allowed to use it, like there's no licensing issues or anything, you can take that and use it for your games in your certificate course. So yeah, there's where you're entirely marked on the programming side of things. You don't have to do any art, and that won't like factor into how you're graded or anything. And you can still create something really cool that looks really cool and runs really well and plays really cool, even if you have, never picked up a pencil in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And I think probably a good thing to note as well that even if you do continue with AIE and you work on games, you'll be the programmer. There'll be artists that are trained to do the
Yeah.
art as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
So, I actually didn't mention the last assignment, which is game production, where you work in a team with other programmers for 3 months to make your own game. But for that's just in the Cert 3. So in AIE's actual diploma courses, we end both years with a group assignment where the programming class gets together with the art class and the design class students, and you get into a group made up of programmers, artists, and designers, and you work together to make a game.
Yeah, awesome. Um, I guess we have kind of touched on subjects and whatnot that would help at school. Is there any particular students that I guess that are in your classes that are thriving and you think, yeah, there's programming is really suited for them? What types of people would you recommend to look into programming?
Um, I think adaptability is a really big thing when it comes to programming. There's sort of like a way of thinking and a way of understanding how code works. And a lot, some people may have never tried programming before, and they may like not know that they have this like amazing understanding of, how to how to code. They might not know, like they might have just never tried it and might not know that they're
Yeah.
actually incredible at it. Like I know as I said, some of my students like had never done any programming before they came into the class, and now I'm watching them like figure out their own stuff. They don't even need my help. And they
Yeah.
can just add some really cool stuff into their game, and figuring out the coding side of things really really fast, and developing that understanding of programming really really fast. So I think it's just sort of like if you haven't tried it before and you think you might be interested in game development and game programming, then it is absolutely something you should try out, because you might have a hidden talent for it that you have never known.
Yeah, for sure. Give it a crack. Um, I
Mm.
guess one last thing from you before I guess we do a wrap up. That 30 minutes has gone very fast.
Yeah.
But any last words of wisdom or anything for anyone trying to get into game programming?
One thing I really wanted to mention is that it is actually a fantastic time right now to be getting into the games industry here in Adelaide and in Australia as a whole. I know in Adelaide there have been some fantastic people moving into places like Games Plus and the Department of Trade and Investment, who are doing like great things for the games industry in Adelaide, and you can really see we're getting like new game studios here, new job opportunities all the time. So the industry is expanding at a really fast rate. But also, Screen Australia recently started up a new initiative called the Games Expansion Pack, which supplies funding for game development teams in Australia who have a game idea or a game concept or a game demo that they really want to work on, but they need money for it. So the government is actually coming in and supplying funding for games, and I think in the first round of it they gave out something like $4 million over 30 game teams to fund those teams and get them off the ground. So there's a lot of stuff like that that's actually been happening recently, and yeah, so it's a really, really good time to get into game development. Even if you're not a programmer, like if you wanted to get into game art or game design, all of that is a really good it's a really good time to be doing because it's a really rapidly growing industry. So yeah, if you
awesome.
think you might want to work on games, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess just to wrap up, I guess our certificate classes as well. If anyone is contemplating doing a Cert 2 or a Cert 3, please reach out to your vet coordinator or your careers advisor at school. If you don't know who they are, then reach out for your teacher and go from there. We actually deliver many of our courses across Australia through schools. So potentially your school already delivers a course and you could do it straight from the school, or you could come into campus, both ways. They actually, all our Cert 2s and our Cert 3s, they pair with your high school credits as well. So you can still get all your high school credits, and they actually equate to quite a large chunk as well, which is nice. Each state does have different subsidies for different courses. I guess the great thing about AIEs that lots of our areas are considered in high need areas. Programming is one of those, and art is another. So the government, in some cases, will actually subsidise your courses to get more people into these areas. So again, each state is different. I know for Adelaide, one of our Cert 3 course comes down to about, I think, $250 with the government subsidies. But again, check with your vet coordinator.
Yeah, and some high schools, I believe, cover that as well.
Yep.
It depends, obviously, but yeah, my high school covered the fees for my cert course, so yeah, vet coordinators
absolutely.
are good people to go to.
Yeah, and if all else fails, I guess check in with your local AIE campus for clarification on the subsidies as well. We do have a campus in Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, and there is an online course as well. If you aren't ready to commit to a full certificate, then like we were saying earlier, check out our beginner or our holiday courses just to have a taster. That is all from me. Thank you so much, Heidi, for joining us.
Thank you for
hand
having
over to
me.
you to wrap up.
Sweet, no dramas. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm just going to quickly go through our website so people can see kind of what the next step is, as well as where they can find more amazing live streams like this. So this here on the screen is the AIE website. It's just aie.edu.au. If you go to the courses and hit all our courses, you get a nice snapshot of everything we've got on offer, from introductory courses like the certificates all the way to career level courses as well. And then under the showcase tab, if you go to live streams, which, oh, I didn't click it. There we go. Good. There's the one we're currently in right now at the top. And then you've got kind of a whole archive of every live stream we've ever done, which is really awesome. You can sort them by kind of topics you're interested in. So if you hit programming, like that, there's a bunch of programming ones there. So definitely utilize this for sure if you guys are interested in anything. And that pretty much wraps it up from my end. Any parting thoughts from anyone before we say goodbye to chat?
I'm good. Just a big thank you to you, Heidi, yet again.
Thank you to both of you as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you for that, guys. And I guess goodbye, everyone in chat. We'll see you guys again next time.
Bye.
Bye.